As I record this video, the Holland America Eurodam is in the process of boarding for a 7-day Alaska cruise. We purchased a standby ticket on this ship, and we could be at the pier waiting to board. We aren't there. In just over 4 months, we have standby tickets for another Holland America sailing. In that case, we do plan to be on the pier, ready to board. What's the difference? In this video, I'm going to give you first-hand experience with the new HAL standby program and the 5 major lessons that we've learned about the program so far and what they mean for you if you're considering this. By the way, we are Ken and Ellen, a retired couple who love to cruise, and we created this channel to help travelers like us be able to see as much of the world as you can while you still can. With this in mind, let's get to the 5 lessons we've learned. Some the hard way. Lesson number 1, it's only about the money. Let's be clear up front. Holland America is providing tickets for cruises at fabulous prices. $49 a day for a non-balcony cabin, $79 a day for a balcony, with no single supplement charge. But they don't want people buying these tickets instead of regularly priced fares. So, they've created every barrier that you can think of to narrow the audience to only the people that they want to buy these tickets. Barriers like what? Well, first you pay the full price up front, including taxes and fees. You get no bonuses, no cabin credit, no shareholder credit, no special perks. The fare is non-refundable and non-transferable. You can sign up for the Have It All package, which is also prepaid, but you can't sign up for or do anything else. You can't sign up for a shore excursion. You can't sign up for dining time. You can't reserve spa. Nothing. Then when the time comes that they actually say you can board, you get 0 choice as to a stateroom. It can be any cabin on any deck. And most likely, it'll be one of the least desirable cabins in whatever class you choose. Besides this, as we would discover, there is 0 transparency as to where you stand in the process. Agents for Holland America don't know how many are in the standby queue or what position you have in line. In addition to that, travel agents have no direct way to book these. They have to go through HAL travel agents just like you would. After our agent booked one of these for us, their agency decided they wouldn't do any more of these in the future. So, are the savings worth all of this? For our 2 trips, the savings amount to about $80 to $90 per person per day. That means the 7-day trip would represent a savings of about $1,200 for us as a couple. That's a significant amount of money. The longest available trip is 42 days. Savings for that trip approach $7,000. So, significant savings, but equally significant drawbacks. Lesson number 2, the program is still evolving. If you consider this program, make sure you understand what the situation is at the time of your booking. When the company rolled this out as a pilot in 2023, they said people would be notified whether they could board or not approximately 7 days before the cruise. People made plans accordingly, only to discover that it was usually 1 to 2 days before. That difference is significant. The program was absolutely trashed in social media sites like Cruise Critic and Facebook, and in my opinion, justifiably so. The company responded by changing the promise to between 7 days and 2 days ahead. Then they rolled out the program to many more sailings in the US and Canada in the spring of 2024. Something like 180 total cruises that you could book. It was originally a 1-tier product at $49 a day. The company then decided to add a 2nd tier at $79 a day for balcony cabins. This change is barely a month old, and as we discovered firsthand, the company made no provision for people who had already booked the $49 rate to upgrade to the $79. Now, it's only been available to this point in North America. Now, I've read 2 reports of people in Holland who have booked similar fares out of Rotterdam. I can't find any details on the US. My point is that the program continues to evolve. Specific cruises also disappear from availability. All the Alaska sailings remain available on the sign-up despite the fact that most of them have been sold out for months. Yet other future sailings have been removed as options to sign up, despite the fact that they're not yet full. Lesson number 3. 2 days before sailing is the decision point. The program is built around the assumption that you can arrive at the cruise port within 48 hours after you receive notification that you're accepted. We learned from an agent that this is a partially automated process. Once they initiate the process, somewhere around 7 days pre-cruise, the system begins selecting people in order of sign-up and assigns them to a cabin. For the Alaska cruise, which was entirely sold out at every cabin level, no cabin was available up to 48 hours before cruise. At that point, we received an email with the message shown here on your screen. I replied to this email with a question about the second option, and I received no reply, so I called Hal. In a nutshell, here's what this means. Once you receive this message, you're able to cancel your booking at any point and receive a full refund. But if you don't cancel and a room becomes available, you'll lose your money if you're not there to board the ship and take that room, all the way up to the end. In other words, you're on the clock. When is it that you want to say, I'm done? Now, we live approximately 5 hours from the port. We didn't want to drive to Seattle not knowing if we would get on the ship. So we let the clock run for another 24 fairly harrowing hours, and then we pulled the plug with about 24 hours to go before boarding. In the end, our final cost was a $10 cancellation fee for a parking space we had reserved for the week. I call this a $10 lottery ticket that had no winnings. That brings us to lesson number 4. Understand the true logistics. In my opinion, you need to go into this program assuming that you'll get the email that we received and know what you're going to do at that point. The major logistic issues are airfare, hotel, and car. Our standard preparation is to fly in a day in advance and stay at a hotel overnight. Well, that doesn't work in this case unless you plan to use the plane tickets and stay in the hotel regardless of whether or not you cruise. We chose to drive. We reserved a hotel with a 24-hour ahead free cancellation, and we reserved a parking space with the aforementioned $10 cancel fee. Now, in the case of our second cruise, we've decided to fly to the port, stay at a hotel. If we don't get on the ship, our plane tickets allow us to return home early. It's in Florida, which is a destination resort for us anyway. So if we don't get on the ship, we're going to go to Disney World, and then we'll fly home early. This allows us to be available all the way up until sail away. So ironically, the point further away has the more certain logistics for us. Before I get to our final point, let me invite you to subscribe to our channel if you appreciate content like this. It costs nothing and it really helps our channel. Thanks in advance. Lesson number 5, be prepared for the uncertainty. I knew the earliest that we could be notified was about 7 days before a Saturday cruise. Knowing the ship was sold out, I didn't expect anything to happen over the weekend. On Monday, 5 days before, the suspense got the better of me and I called Holland America. I explained I was in the 7-day notification period and wondered if they could give me an update. They politely said no, there was nothing to report, and they would email us as soon as there was no news. Don't call us, we'll call you. So, can you tell me how many people are on the wait list? Nope, they can't do that. Do you know where we are in line? Nope, we don't know that. So while we waited, with slowly increasing anxiety, I went to the website to make sure we had completed all the check-in information. Although I was sure that we had completed it, the site showed some things as missing. I filled them in. I do know of one standby passenger who had difficulty getting his boarding pass on departure day because he somehow missed the emergency airport question. Double check this when you get into the final week, because you don't want to be at the port scrambling to try and do this. The site is also not very reassuring during this phase. Each time you log in, you get the message shown here saying you can't book anything because you're in waitlist status. HAL doesn't have a separate designation for standby, but uses waitlist, which is a separate but similar program. At the 4-day point, a second message pops up on the screen saying it's now too late to purchase excursions or packages at the pre-cruise discount. The one thing you can purchase while you're in standby mode is the Have It All package, so make sure that you do that before the 4-day mark. If you clear both of these, you get an ominous looking message to say, make sure you've checked in for the cruise. Now you get this message even though you've completed all the steps and have checked in for the cruise. I assume it's because you're not able yet to print your boarding pass. Nevertheless, it is disconcerting. Then, of course, the message came midday Thursday that we had to make a decision when to cancel. We ran through all the details. We decided to give it 24 hours. When we made the final decision a day later, it reminded me of the times our beloved pets have passed. Somehow the day was easier when the dog passed and we weren't involved. We just received the news after the fact. The harder days were the ones where we had to make the decision to put the animal down because it was suffering. And you know it's the right decision, but is now the right time? Or should we have done it sooner? No matter what you decide, you second guess yourself. I'd suggest it would be much easier on you if you make this decision ahead of time. If we don't get a place by this point, this is what we're going to decide. As I said, we've paid the money and committed to try this on a second cruise. Whether we continue in the future beyond that will depend on how that trip goes and how Holland America continues to evolve the program. There is no question that we like the price. And we still think that we're okay with the consequences, although this was a trying first experience. As always, we'll let you know on this channel exactly how it turns out. We would appreciate comments from any reviewers who have already done this experience. We'd like to know how your experience was and if it differs from ours and what time frame that happened. Please leave a comment below. Until next time, safe travels. To let it run another 24 hours. 24. So we let the croc. The one thing you can do is purchase. The one thing you can do.